PayPal, subscribe, please. My guest is John Tory. He is a lawyer, businessman, a keen observer of politics at all three levels in Canada. And I want to put the question to you because people, time and time again, are saying government seems to be broken. It's not doing what it's doing. We have talked before about accountability, but also there are some theories that politicians, every election, they say, elect me, I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to give you more money, better services. I'm going to do more for you. Are we asking too much of government?
Well, I think we are, but I think, if you ask me to make a choice between politicians who promise everything in 50-page books that cover every issue versus stark polarization, where it's either black or it's white, or it's either, good or it's bad, and there's nothing in between from days gone by where we can at least reach good public policy based on some compromise. Yeah. I would take people promising everything, knowing full well they're not going to do it. They know when they publish those books, they're not going to do all that stuff. They couldn't.
But that's too cynical.
Well, no, but it's not cynical.
For the average voter out there, if you say you're going to bring in a dental plan or you're going to bring in whatever plan and they vote for you, you get the power, they expect you to do it.
In the days gone by, they would say in a campaign you had to have Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And there's three things. Yeah. And you shouldn't have more than three. And that all went away because I think you wouldn't have the concern you have, and I wouldn't either, if people said, I'm going to do three things if I'm there. And it also is a sort of a sense of priority setting that executives and cabinet ministers and prime ministers and premiers and mayors are executives. Yes. Executives have to have priorities. It can't be a 40-page book. Imagine if you said to the president of some big company, Post Media, you're going to come to work every day and your priorities are going to be in a 40-page book. The person wouldn't know where to start. And that's the problem with government. They're trying to do everything for everybody instead of having two or three, priorities and saying that's it.
So do you think it's going to change then, where somebody's going to stand up who's not in government and saying, elect me, I'm going to get more efficient government, and I'm going to do A and B. That's it. And we're going to do it well.
Because you are forced by interest groups, you are forced by the media to declare yourself on every issue.
Well, maybe we shouldn't have those interest groups or media influencing.
Okay, you deal with that part, okay? But as long as they're out there, then they write you their questionnaire, they write you their policy question, they bring you to a debate about their issues, seniors, housing, you name it.
And so you're ripped in every direction.
But you are. And look, you do have to have an answer on all those things because you're responsible for it all, but it's about priority setting. And I think if people were forced to say, here are my top three priorities, I'm not going to vary from those unless there's an emergency or something that is, important, you would maybe get better government.
So maybe in the next federal elections, somebody's going to say, elect me, and I'm going to make honest government, efficient government, and we're going to respond to people.
But no, that would be deemed way too vague. And come on, Stephen. What does honest government mean? What does efficient government mean? That would never wash. No one would get elected running on that.
I think the tables have turned here. You're being cynical, and I'm being idealistic.
You also know that governments don't get elected, at least opposition parties don't get elected, governments get defeated. So really what will determine all of the next elections forever will be, is the government unpopular, is the leader unpopular, and out he or she goes and replaced by somebody else.
So your advice to the Conservatives next election is say nothing, do nothing. Trudeau's finished. No chance on that one.
I didn't say that.
3 minutes. Thank you very much, John. Liberties and freedom of speech are under attack in Canada like never before. So let's keep this discussion on the air. PayPal, write a check, and please include your address so I can write a thank you letter to you. And ask your friends, please subscribe. It's important to keep this on the air. And thank you.